So as you may recall, back in January, Jordan from ALNSM Overland challenged me to do 5 things I love about my Forester video, and I did. Jordan had been challenged by Mitre A, I think, who had been challenged by bruceyyyyy, something like that. Anyway, at that time, Jordan, bruceyyyyy, and Mitre A also did 5 things I hate about my Subaru videos. So for all this time, I've felt incomplete, like I hadn't finished the job. Oh, there you are. So here it is, my 5 things I hate about my Subaru Forester. Number 5, it's a Subaru. For many years, Subarus have been known for their head gasket problems. It's true that older generations of Subarus used to have head gasket problems. Both my old Legacy and my old Outback had to have the head gaskets replaced. Newer Subaru engines are equipped with multi-layer steel head gaskets, and these are far, far superior to the gaskets that they used before. So head gasket failure really is a thing of the past for newer Subarus. The trade-off with some of the newer engines, such as the FB25 that my Forester has, is that they tend to consume oil. It doesn't leak out, but it just burns up. My experience has been with everyday driving around town and highway driving at 55, 60 miles per hour. It doesn't really consume in excess. However, prolonged freeway driving at 75 miles an hour all day long, like when I take road trips to California, that's when I see the consumption go up, and it'll burn through a quart of oil in about 1,000 miles. Which, if you do that kind of driving on a regular basis, and you would run out of oil before you would get to your oil change. Not a Jeep. Lacking a low-range transfer case, Subaru off-roaders have to use momentum to get over obstacles a Jeep would simply crawl. But even that doesn't always work, and definitely subjects your car to greater risk of damage. The ground clearance, approach and departure angles, and the ability to crawl gives Jeeps a huge advantage on challenging terrain. I regularly have to just start backing up when a trail gets too difficult for the Forester. I regularly have to make the choice not to take unnecessary risks on a trail I could maybe do, but that could also go wrong, especially when I'm by myself. And sometimes I can't even start the trail in the first place. Number 3, it's small. It's a small little cockpit. There's no room to put any sort of accessories or anything. I had to mount the iPad up on the dash there in front of my clock and temperature, There's a little cubby there, but I run the other GPS sitting there. I don't have any place to put my sunglasses because the radio is mounted on the sunglasses holder. The radio is mounted on the sunglasses holder because there's no place else to mount a radio. There is a spot for my water bottle and for a passenger water bottle, and I can even put my coffee right there. But passenger coffee, no, sorry. Extra radio and air down tools. I can't put the extra radio and air down tools in the center compartment because that's where my thing of CDs lives. I carry CDs because the stereo only has a CD player and no phone input. There's also not a single switch blank anywhere. No place to put extra switches for accessories. That's why the switches for my auxiliary lights are mounted on the door of the fuse panel. There's my fuses in there. Even the glove box is on the small side, carrying only a minimum of absolute necessities. Sunscreen, bug spray, some necessary papers, some paper towels. And while the rear accommodates my camping setup, the space I have to sleep in is roughly the size and shape of a coffin. I try not to think about that. Wait, are you seeing a pattern here? Want to guess what number 2 is? What are these things anyway? Number 2, stupid little fender things. Once I noticed these weird little ridges above the wheel wells, I couldn't stop seeing them, and now they just bug me. Why are they there? They make even less sense on the back of the car. It's just this little ridge that sticks out for no reason at all. Number 1, that saggy bum. My Forester has more lift on the rear than on the front, but you'd never know it when it's loaded for an excursion. It constantly looks like it's leaning back on its haunches. And while I know it's necessary for the suspension to flex with the terrain, the front still always seems to maintain a reasonable distance from the ground, while the rear seems to scrunch down to the ground way too easily, and at the worst possible moments too, when, if anything, I need more clearance back there, not less. I mean, come on, if I slip into ruts like this, I need the rear end to stay higher, not squish down even lower onto the high ground in the middle. So there you have it, 5 things I hate about my Subaru Forester. Thanks for watching. Oh, one more thing. So someone said to me, if I'm going to talk about all of the problems, I should also be talking about solutions. Okay, let's run down the list. It's a Subaru. Ooh, and a dirty one at that. Well, there's not much I can do about the fact that it's a Subaru, but the main issue there was the oil consumption. And there are some solutions. There was a class action lawsuit against Subaru over the oil consumption in the FB25. As a result of that, they extended the warranty on the short block only to 10 years or 100,000 miles. That means any of us who are driving a Forester with this motor still have the opportunity to go to a dealer, have an oil consumption test done, and if it fails the oil consumption test, Subaru will replace the short block for you. Number 4, it's not a Jeep. No, it's not a Jeep. It'll never be a Jeep. It'll never handle the kind of terrain a Jeep will handle, but it's not really supposed to. Things you can do are lift it, put better tires on it, learn how to drive off-road, because even people who drive Jeeps, if they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to get any further than you're going to get in your Subaru. So pick the right lines and make smart choices about where you go and don't go. sometimes you just gotta stop and turn back and find another way. Number 3, it's small. Yeah, it's small, but if you're clever, you can find ways to organize your stuff and or bring less stuff. Number 2, these stupid pointless contours on the fenders. Well, I can only think of one solution for that. Here we go. Number 1, this sad, saggy bum. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard there are beefier springs that you can get to replace the springs, and I don't know that much about them, so that might be something to look into. If you've had experience putting heavier duty springs on your Forester, comment below and let me know. So at the end of my 5 things I love about my Forester video, I passed the torch along to JonDZAdventuring so he could do his 5 things he loved about his Forester, which he did.
Sit back and let me tell you the 5 things I love about my Subaru Forester.
And then 2 weeks later, he got rid of his Forester. So John now drives a Honda Passport, and I can't really ask him to do 5 things he hates or hated about his Forester. Or can I? Hey Donald, here's the link to the video clip. Oh yeah!
Back up on that log, CVT. You can do it.
The reason I hate my SJ Forester XT? It has a terrible reverse crawl ratio of only 9.6 to 1. This has got me severely stuck on 2 occasions. An example of this is when I was in Joshua Tree, California on Old Dale Road. I went up a rocky climb and couldn't move forward and up the mountain. I tried to reverse, but there was a short rock behind one of my wheels. I was stuck. Oh yeah! I should have been able to back down a mountain. It was ridiculous.
Oh, more but slow. Oh. You only need to go like 2 inches. Oh, oh yeah, it's barely on it, but yeah, I guess it. You know what? On the back, you're probably only lifted halfway because you're only partially on the log.
All right, now we're done. Time to air up and head home. So there's my 5 things I hate about my Subaru Forester. I love my Forester, but I'll be the first to admit it is far from the perfect trail rig. Still, for the kind of exploring I do, it usually gets me where I want to go, and it's affordable to own and operate, and it's reliable. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below what you hate about your rig, Subaru or not.